Are we good? We're rolling. Hey everyone, welcome back. More Jake Monroe goodness coming at you. We're gonna be exploring yet more visual representation of how women are single-handedly ruining the goth subculture by themselves, while simultaneously claiming that they're not. It's like they're not even trying to fight the stereotype. Boom! Ah!
Men need to stop treating women like sex objects.
Proceeds to present themselves almost exclusively as sex objects. I can imagine this, like, a lot of women probably in chat getting pretty upset, right? It's like, oh, this is just a man issue, it's a man problem, and who cares, right? Because it's a man problem. If I've come to understand that, I do realize if men have an issue in society, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But I get a lot of comments and DMs from women sharing their sentiments with how women are presenting themselves on the internet and how that's been affecting them. The expectation that this has been creating, this has been providing certain types of men on the internet. The way you don't respect men who buy your OFs, the type of men that are corn addicted, the way these OF chicks look down on these types of men. Men also look down on the women that provide them with these kinds of services. It's like a two-way street of shame. You both look down upon each other, and it's spilling over to the women that don't do this kind of stuff. There's like an expectation. It's like your alternative on the internet. Where's the immediate, easy access at a low price with a discount if I sign up now, where I can see your naked nude body? I need that. This is the expectation that's been cultivated. Oh, but men need to stop consuming it. Look, this is what we call responsibility. This is what I was saying before. Women want the power of men, but not the responsibility. It is your responsibility not to provide men with this. Yeah, you don't get to buy your Mercedes and parade around using the word entrepreneur to describe how you bought your mansion with your cooter, but just know your actions have consequences for everybody. But then again, this probably does come with some level of like a complete lack of empathy. Like, you don't care, right? You get your bag, you got your bag, right? The bag has been acquired. Who cares? Also, I'm dressed like a Floridian here, just like shorts and a vest top, because it's raining here and it's incredibly humid. It's insanely humid here, so I'm dressed like this to, to stop the makeup from sweating from my face. My masculine makeup. My makeup required in order to qualify me as goth on the internet by your standards. Goth is only about the music. It's only about the music and nothing else. It's only coincidental that we're all wearing the same makeup. It benefits the stupid if they can get you to play along, because then they don't feel stupid. Oh, that goth track. Oh, y'all want a single by Korn. Oh, man. Now, it's sad that I have to clarify this kind of stuff, but I do understand it because, there have been people who have rejoined my channel over the past couple of months who haven't seen it in a few years, and they're like, why is Jake being so elitist? It's because I like to parody this shit. See, whenever someone tells me or insists upon me that has some level of backing from like a Reddit account or a TikTok account or something that has like a bunch of followers on it, they like to be like, oh, goth is this, and not this. So whenever I react to this kind of stuff, whenever I react to like the most relevant representations of goth in the subculture that's being presented here, I like to point out how their definitions for it are almost never upheld. And that my definition of it is actually probably more accurate. There were a shit ton of goths that listened to Korn back in the day, but there is a core belief of like elitist, gatekeepy goth boys, mainly girls actually, that are like, it's Korn, it's new metal, it's not actually goth. You can't see. Here's my goth cop badge. Oh, new content idea. Hold it right there, mister. That's Korn. That's new metal. It's not goth. You can't do that. So I get this unique sense of pleasure from calling out goths on the internet for not upholding the standard of goths that I've been held to. I enjoy that. I also just don't like goths in general. I've had a very uniquely negative experience with almost every single goth I've ever interacted with. I've been involved with like a few subcultures over the years. That kind of stuff does happen. They do share relatively close proximity, aesthetics and music. Sometimes there's a lot of overlap. I'd say the only group of people that are probably equally as dickheaded have been punks, but even that could have been circumstantial. It seems unanimous in the case of goth. Metalheads though, man, I know how they click, man. I love metalheads. I love riling them up. And I know where I stand in the metalhead culture too. But yeah, long story short, TLDR, summarized version. You can listen to Korn and be goth. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me at all. But I know it bothers elitists, and that's what I love. That's my favorite part. It's also funny to me that it's about the music. Goth is the music. It's the music. And then none of the music's being used. So I'm like, right, so you're saying that 95% of goth representation on social media is wrong? It's just nullified. It's like nothing. You're looking at nothing. It's just static.
Tell your boyfriend if he says he's got
This bouncing.
beef that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't
Oh my god, imagine reducing yourself this far.
scared of him.
You can't be feminist and be doing this. This woman's not a feminist. There's no way. This like bouncing like a toy, like you're a toy trying to get male attention. There's no way you can be a self-respecting feminist and doing shit like that. There's no way. That is the open declaration with no words, only actions, that you are subservient to men, and not even good men, like bad men who give in to their base desires and have no respect for women above the fact that they're just sex objects. You're perpetuating this view of women. There is no way one can maintain their feminist card and create content like this. There's nothing empowering about this. And the kinds of men giving in to this kind of temptation as well is further degrading the male side. As you're basically bringing everyone down with you, appealing to the male animalistic side of breed. All the right stuff is bouncing. I must buy it on discount in a 3-month bulk. Hey, look at that. If I DM, I get special requests and stuff. Awesome. No, I know the obvious, which I haven't even seen brought up, to be honest, so I'm gonna bring it up. I have an OF. But you see, here's the big difference. There's no male expectation to maintain the sexual integrity of men. If anything, I am empowered as the gender minority within a field, right? You know how there's always celebrating women in this male-dominated field day. It's we're celebrating women in artistry. Here's a day dedicated to all the female mechanics out there, right? Just you know what I'm talking about, right? They celebrate the female minority in a male-dominated world is can you believe they're actually doing this? Which honestly, if I was a woman, that would be unbelievably patronizing. I'm what are you trying to insist here? What are you trying to insinuate, that as a female, I'm less likely, less capable, so it's amazing I'm even here contending with the boys? Essentially, to me, all you're celebrating is just, wow, a woman actually is interested in this. What's there to celebrate? And you could apply the exact same logic to me infiltrating the UF culture, because it's female dominated. Where's my day? Let's celebrate all the straight boys on OF. A day dedicated to all the boys who are here. The difference is that male sexuality is not as easily exploited, nor is it as openly accepted. So I find it empowering. And if I was a feminist, wouldn't you see that as this gender equality that you're all meant to be working towards? When's that meant to happen? We all bought that explanation, that excuse back in 2016 on Tumblr. It's we're fighting for equality, actually, as a way to pacify male intrigue and male criticism of the new modern feminist movement. It's no. It's don't worry, boys. We're fighting for both sides. It's okay. All right. And sure enough, of course, that's not what happened.
Everyone's always asking me, Swaggy, how do I find a goth girl? Where do I find goth girls? Well, let me tell you right now. We actually don't leave our house because we burn in the sunlight. It is 80 degrees outside right now and the sun is shining. We can only go out at night. And also, me personally, I'm antisocial, so I avoid all human interaction. So in order for you to find a goth girl, quick answer is you don't. Hope this helps. Also, just a quick little PSA, I actually just don't wear trad goth makeup out in public, nor do I wear my typical makeup ever. So in order for you to find an actual goth girl, you have to go talk to them and see if they're goth.
She called herself Swaggy? That was a choice. See, the question is, where can I find a goth girl? The question should be, should you find a goth girl? I've been over this before, man, but whenever you're trying to, as a man, date within a scene where it's acceptable to shit on men, there is also a coinciding mommy-dommy fetish prevalent within the scene. So not only are men looked down upon because there's more of them than there are of you, and politically speaking, because a lot of these chicks are like far left psychopaths, as a man, you should die if you're not useful, which actually, weirdly thinking about it, that's kind of pretty traditional, right? Like a man has always had to be useful in order to be seen as valuable in society. But then you've also got this prevalent fetish of mommy-dommy shit where like the man has to suck up and grovel to the female matriarch. And they decide how much, what crumbs, what morsels of affection you're allowed to receive, right? So I would say to men out there, actively don't date goth women. I've done it before. They are so far up their own asses that it wouldn't even matter if they went out during the day in the sun, because none of it would be hitting them because they're firmly up their own asses. The matriarch that is currently comprising the goth subculture at the moment needs a reality check, and his name's Jake Monroe. But there needs to be this whole attitude from men being like, so you're goth, what else can you do? Right? Oh, you want to be treated like a queen? Why? Why should I? See, now, these are interesting takes, right? This is a good place to practice your individualism, because this isn't even just in Ireland as well. There is the South, right? It's the South in America and the South here. When you're away from like the bougie metropolitan areas where it's like cool and hip and amazing and everything is, you know, catered to, regardless of what niche that you're a part of, what niche subculture that you're a part of, whatever obscure interest you have, you can find an indulgence for it. Whenever you're from rural areas, it's way, way harder. It's way more difficult to express yourself. It's not that there isn't any of that there. It's more just that there's a culture that's been created around the fact that you don't do it. You can't do it, because out in those areas, most people, most families, the culture is based around being a working culture, right? Whether you're in agriculture or, which is a big one, actually, agriculture being a really big one, like farm families, family-owned businesses, the lack of nightclubs to go to, where there's a far lower population where you can't rely on high population in order to explore your more deviant side or forego having a family young. You know, you could potentially topple an entire family bloodline doing that kind of stuff, and you're just no longer part of the village. But this is what I went through, and I'm saying this completely unironically. I was the only goth in the village, like for real. And this is another reason why it's just so unbelievably unfair to enforce your standards of subculture onto literally any other individual that you don't understand, because whereas some people have grown up in the inner city and have experienced the forefront of subculture progression, there are some people who only get like a trickle-down effect, like, you know, the whispers and the occasional glimpse at what these subcultures are and how you can get into them and what defines these things. And you are this country boy in the middle of nowhere who has a basic grasp of what this thing is, but it speaks to you enough that you want to pursue it and represent it in your small little tiny boy town. But that's what it was like for me, man. And this shit's real. Rural society does not really have a lot of space or the ability to risk this kind of stuff. It doesn't have space for it to grow. So it usually is just assigned to like the occasional individual who is allowed to express these kinds of things. And it is usually faced with ostracism because a lot of people see this as a risk, right? It's like you're trained to identify things that are different and therefore bad for your culture, for your community. If you share this reel, you'll be touched by a thick goth women. I mean, like, the grammar aside, I mean, how many times have we come across this sentiment? I've had to cut a lot of these reels out. Like, it's like an easy cast for views and likes here. Like, a lot of chicks do it, and they all get likes and views for it, which ultimately I think outweighs the integrity of the goth subculture. Is like, as long as you're getting likes and views, who gives a shit? Pretty much the same mentality you could apply to, like, the OnlyFans chicks. Who cares what it's doing for the image of women online? As long as you get your Mercedes G-Class, right? Your G-Wagon. You've made it. You're an entrepreneur. But this like arrogance, this narcissism, it's like your reward is to be touched by a chubby goth chick. That's right, dudes. Would you love that if like you got a thick, quote unquote, thick, which I think was just the worst word to happen. Hashtag bring back the word fat. How can you make yourself feel better about being overweight and fat? Oh, just change the terminology and our attitude towards this new word. It's another perfect example of just this manipulation of language in order to protect people's feelings. But do you want that, boys? Do you want, like, a girl that thinks even just you touching her is, like, a privilege, but then she's also thick, so you have to provide her dietary needs per day? Oh, we got the job for it. This bitch eats like a hog, fisting handfuls of KFC or McDonald's fries in her mouth, while she then rolls her eyes and like, I guess I'll let you touch my foot. Oh, you're so lucky, fellas. This should be the last type of woman you should be interested in going for. I'm of the strong persuasion that late 90s, mid to late 90s and 2000s goth was probably like the goth heyday. It was like the best. Because this wasn't like the original 80s boom where like you had post-punk bands which sounded like shit. Stop yelling at me, right? Even they think it sounded like shit because they all changed to gothic rock by like the early 80s because it just sounded better. And even then, a lot of the big gothic rock bands all stopped releasing shit by like the mid 80s. Like most of them did. And the ones that kept going after the 80s, their sound had changed so far and the goth movement had kind of just like not really carried over. And then like Trent Reznor and Manson was like a thing in the 90s, and then everyone like dusted off their winkle pickers and their black lipstick. Well, they had to repurchase it because it dried out by that point. And there was like another big boom of it, right? And it makes me so mad to think that there's this elitist modern goth who's like almost half my age insisting that that was in no way goth at all because like it wasn't part of the 80s, none of the 80s. It's because none of the 80s bands were even making music. And yet, despite their absence, the goth subculture was alive and thriving. There was no internet full of self-righteous goth elitists insisting on what goth is and isn't. People were just like, I guess this is like the new goth music now. Great. They were just getting into it, having fun. There was like lots of cool, fun bands and like lots of really cool, fun stuff. And like goth subculture was just so unbelievably prevalent and popular back then that it was even permeating into popular media. It was like everywhere. It wasn't obscure. It was such a massive boom for the subculture that it was like culturally relevant. And I think that's notable and definitely not something that should just be dismissed. There was no OF, no social media. It was like, I'm putting all this cool stuff on to actually go out because why would I put this stuff on to just sit inside? The whole point was to put it on and go out so that other people could see it and you could be a part of the scene and you could take like a bunch of pills and have like a really great time at the nightclubs and stuff and maybe attend an orgy on Saturday night, you know, just to carry you through to Sunday. You know, just like cute things like that. I still think that goth had its most prevalent time in human history, in modern history, from the mid to late 90s and the early 2000s. I think that was like the best time for it. I think Gen Xers honestly had like the best version of goth. Mid to older millennials like myself were kind of there to catch the tail end of it, to like see it leave. And we're like, was that the... Yeah, it was. And then you can like copy that. But there was like none of this ain't goth, that's not goth, goth is this, goth isn't that. It was just... Oh, damn, look at all this cool goth shit that's coming out at the moment. What do you mean goth? Define that real quick, actually, before you pursue it. Like, there was none of that. Leave your comments down below. What do you think was the best era for goth subculture? Because it's coming in waves. It comes in waves. There's only one right answer, and it's my opinion. Anyway, guys, if you want to watch another 5 more minutes of this, there is an extended and uncensored version of this. They're saying that I've not sworn once in this video, I don't think. But there is an extended version out now. Actually, it came out yesterday. You get early access to these videos the day before they come out. You can either click join down below to become a member of this channel, or you can follow the link in the description to the Patreon and become a member there. You both get access to the same content. But until then, my name's been Jake Monroe. I had a great day today because I made it a great day, and I'll catch all of you next time. Bye, everybody.